Welcome back to Marrakesh, Morocco. This is part 3 of our interview with Romanna Dada.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Nice to see you again.
So we just covered why Romanna is eminently qualified to speak about extreme entrepreneurship. We already shared some lessons learned, including showing up.
Yes.
And I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit because you have worked in markets and you might be investing in people that come from places like Pakistan, Palestine, places where it's really hard to get out and meet people.
Yes.
Practically impossible in the case of a Palestinian these days. And yet, what I've seen, I've been there, I've been elsewhere, maybe not when it's full on the worst of what's going on, but what's incredible is even people that cannot leave their community are leveraging technology in places and in ways that we might find almost unimaginable. That these days, as long as you can get access to the internet, there's, well, why don't you finish the thought?
Yeah,
do you think?
Absolutely nothing that's not possible. And we always say, right, never say the impossible. Look, I think we talked a little bit about this, but really just recapping, entrepreneurs in extreme markets are, for me, like gold dust, because you're in a market where it's super tough and you are therefore having to struggle with so many different things. If you can struggle and survive there, you can struggle and survive anywhere. But the world, with this new globalized world that we have and access that we have definitely to the internet, which is of course showing us, of course, footage of things, as we all know, of late that demonstrates that really no one can do anything to stop you to get a message out, means that you as an entrepreneur can also penetrate any market in the world from wherever you are. And I think, yes, it's important to be able to identify your markets and focus on those. But what I find surprising, or not so surprising actually, when I speak to many entrepreneurs, is that they find that by sheer accident, they've opened up an untapped market, especially for e-commerce and online platforms, that they never even anticipated. I remember when we started our first platform, Hotelan and Modest, over 60% of our customers were from the US, and we never marketed to the US. So the point is you can reach anybody, and there are many more plugins. I also think entrepreneurs need to, coming back to our other recap point, which is showing up, turn up everywhere, meet as many people as possible, because you get the opportunity to meet potentially other startups that could collaborate with you. And collaborate with other startups where possible, either to create bigger teams, to be able to grow and get to your maximum optimal kind of possible achievements faster, which comes back to our own a smaller piece of a bigger pie. But also because there are so many different elements of building a business, and there might be someone that's done one of those elements better than you have. So for example, this last week we invested in a Valence AI, which is a really cool startup that's automating all of HR software. And what I really liked is that they are now looking at partnering with startups that have got the language in local markets, really through AI and ML. I mean, I can go into more depth, but maybe we'll come back to it later. The point being is that, especially in the Middle East, so many different dialects. And to give you a quick note, Amazon Alexa, when they released in the Middle East, I think the numbers, you have to check them, was something like 100,000+ devices sold in the first 24 hours, but over 85% of those were returned because Alexa wasn't able to pick up the local dialect. So this startup is really cool, and they've been able to translate all those local dialects, and then now they're selling them as an solution, as a B2B solution to other companies who need to solve for that.
I'm so delighted you mentioned that, because very quickly, somebody that I'm going to profile in volume 2, Raj of Airlift, hello, in Nepal, between the pandemic and other events, they realized that the big tech navigation apps don't work in many places with lethal consequences, because first responders, if they are relying on a navigation app produced by big tech, global big tech, it doesn't work. So you have to do drone-based local navigation apps. Medium tech, not high tech, medium tech.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that we could dig into in future episodes or few.
We were talking about how transformative tech is, right? From just to go into one more example, which is the insulin. So you were telling me about a great health tech startup that you've come across.
Mind Mike's.
And that startup, why I thought it was super interesting was because recently I met somebody else actually in Portugal and Lisbon, where I flew through to get to Marrakesh, which was a very strange long flight, but a conversation for another day. And they had built a startup that adjusts your insulin on a daily basis based on your diet. And for those of you who know diabetes in any way, shape or form, or have had a diabetic patient in your family, my father unfortunately passed away of diabetes and through having a hypoglycemic attack, which effectively caused his organs to fail. Had his insulin been adjusted on a daily basis, he probably would not have left us. But because he'd stopped eating so much, his insulin had not been adjusted, he was taking too much insulin. So again, the way that tech can transform our lives is beyond. It's not just about making it better or using an Uber or a cream and making it faster so we have to wait out in the heat so much. But it's bigger than that. It's saving people's lives, and that's why I think we really need to find extreme entrepreneurs, and we need to take them to the rest of the world. We need to help them to scale. We need to help them to access the world, and that's what I believe is my legacy and what I'm focused on.
And to wrap up with one more very related message, not only bring opportunities to these people, but also one of the missions of my book and research is find out what you can learn from them. Because if they've made it in Nigeria, if they've made it in Nepal with the medium tech drone-enabled navigation app, that person could probably make it anywhere.
100%, absolutely agree.
So there's plenty to be learned from you. If you are an extreme entrepreneur, hope we did. Let us know in the comments if you have feedback, whether we got something wrong, right, half right, whether you want to qualify anything. Any final words, because we got to be wrapping up, unfortunately.
Yeah, honestly, just the fact that I'm super excited about extreme entrepreneurship and what we're doing and telling these stories. And again, reach out, because your stories help us to develop these blueprints of the map for success. So we're really excited to hear from you, and looking forward to seeing you much more. Shukran, thank you, Assalamu alaikum from Morocco.
Ma salam.
Ma salama.